G'day, how's it going? Alright, well in today's video we'll be breaking down the best Warzone settings for console players. Alright, well we're not ready to play catch with penguins, so let's crack into it, eh? First things first is the button layout. The button layout really depends on what kind of controller you have. So if you've got a basic controller, or if you've got a controller with paddles on the back of it. Alright, so if you're running a standard controller, you've got two options here. So the first option is playing what they call claw. So that's when you run with your index finger up like this. You use that to press or your jump, and you can still do everything you need to, slide, or you can run this button layout, bumper jumper tactical flipped. So basically what flipped does is it swaps your triggers with your bumpers. So your aim and shoot button essentially become your bumper buttons, and then your right trigger and left trigger become your lethal and your tactical. But with bumper jumper, basically it swaps out your tactical with your X button. So you get jump here, and it swaps out your stab button on the right hand analog with slide and prone and crouch essentially. So what this does is, with a normal controller, it allows you to perform all those basic movements that you otherwise wouldn't be able to create. It prevents you from having to take your hand off the aim button while you're in the middle of a fight. But if you're like me and you invested in a controller with paddles, my personal preference is tactical flipped. Flipped probably isn't really relevant if you've invested in, like, say, a scuff like me, because I've got hairline triggers, but from using a normal controller for that long, it's just ingrained in my brain and I need to use flipped. And yeah, but I always use tactical because it allows you to perform those advanced movements a lot easier, I've found, as opposed to default. Right, then we've got stick layout. I always keep this as default. Then we've got invert. If you can invert your look, all the power to you. That'll just destroy my brain. Big one here is input dead zone. On the input dead zone, you want it as low as possible for each one individually. A lot of people for some reason match these up and say if they've got 5, they run 5 on the other one. You really don't want to do this. It's each individual analog stick that you want to be running the dead zone for. So your left stick is obviously your moving, and your right stick is your aim. You want to set this as low as possible so that you don't have stick drift. So the best way to check this for your left stick is go into a bot game and just start up, grab your weapons, and just stand there and see if you start moving forward. If you move forward, bump that up until you stop moving forward, and that'll be your ideal dead zone for your left stick. For your right stick, I just open my map, and when you're looking at your map, if you see your cursor moving at all, you have to bump your dead zone up until that stops. Generally, 9 times out of 10, your right stick is going to have more dead zone, especially if you're running tactical, because this is the one you're using the most and bashing the crap out of. For the max input dead zone, I put this up to 99. You can have it at 1. All you want to do is have it right at the top, which allows you to have maximum input right at the top here. Otherwise, you'll have a shorter range of motion. Moving on to sensitivity, this is a big thing that everyone seems to struggle with, and they want to find the perfect sensitivity. I've got a hot tip for you. It doesn't exist. It's all personal preference, and you just need to find what works best for you. But I would recommend for console players, generally between 7 and 12 is a good range. If you're on a PC, you can run lower than that, as you can just move your mouse further. But us console players using controller, we really need to have it at a higher level, especially with 80 FOV. We need to be able to move and turn quickly to check all those corners and look around the room. There are exercises you can do to find your perfect sensitivity for yourself. And if you guys want me, I can make a video for that. Just leave a comment down below and I'll get on making a video about finding your perfect sensitivity for you. As for AEST sensitivity multipliers, I don't run a multiplier. I don't want more things messing with my brain as it is. I just want to keep it the same thing for my muscle memory. But if you do find when you're aiming that your aim's off a little bit, I would recommend putting your sensitivity for your zooms a bit lower. So you turn this custom sensitivity per zoom multiplier on, you go down to advanced, and as you can see from mine, I've got my low 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times down to 0.75. So basically when I'm aiming in with a scope that within that multiplier, my sensitivity is a lot slower, but you kind of want to have it higher for these higher zoom scopes so that you can keep up with people, especially when you're zoomed in that much on someone flying through the sky. You need to have it a bit higher to be able to track them. That's why on the high zoom, I've got it to 110. But as I said before, I turn this off because I don't need more things for my brain to try and figure out. When it comes to aim response curve, the best option here is dynamic. What dynamic does is it's on an S curve. So if you move your right analog stick just a smidge, it allows for fine and precise aim. But when you hold your analog stick all the way, it speeds up a lot and allows you to whip around a lot quicker. Your other option here is standard, which is a lot like dynamic, but the S curve isn't anywhere near as much. It still goes up, but it's not as good. And linear does not have a curve. It basically puts the same input no matter how you move the stick, which is really good for muscle memory. But if you're going to run linear, you need a lot higher sensitivity to be able to whip around and shoot behind you. Controller vibration, definitely turn this off. Gas mask is toggle only. I've got this disabled just because I'd completely forget about gas mask, run into the gas and probably kill myself. If you have the ability to set this to enabled, it's definitely a game changer, because I can't tell you the amount of times that I've raged and lost my shit because my gas mask is pulled itself down right in the middle of a gunfight because this game doesn't even know what the hell it's doing. Aim assist, the best one here for the most aim assist is definitely standard, use and reload behavior. You always want to have this on contextual tap, which allows you to just press square once to open boxes, reload, pick up weapons, pick up perks and all that good stuff. If you're playing multiplayer, this is the worst thing in the world because you pick up every single weapon on the map somehow, but if you're playing Warzone, it's definitely the go-to. You really want to have it on contextual tap. You want to set your armor plates to apply all. So basically you just press triangle once and it starts putting all 3 plates in if you're completely broken, and you can just cancel that out if you get in a gunfight or anything by double tapping triangle. Slide behavior, you want this on tap. It just allows you to slide cancel a lot easier. Some people run hold. There's pros gamers that run hold. It doesn't make any sense to my brain, so I can't do that. If you can, all the power to you. Auto move forward, we have this disabled. Tac sprint is irrelevant because automatic sprint, we want it on automatic tactical sprint. So as soon as you're pressing forward, you are in a tactical sprint. Helps you move around the map a lot easier. It makes you able to slide cancel a lot better. However, if you are using a shotgun, automatic tac sprint is the worst thing in the world because for some reason you just can't shoot, it just cancels it constantly, or at least I find that. So if you are using a shotgun, I'd turn off your automatic tactical sprint. And another big one, parachute auto deploy, put this on disabled so that when you're flying in, you can drop as low to the ground. Otherwise you'd be pulling your chute right in front of people, getting shot the shit out of. Moving on to graphics, camera movement, I've got this set to least to give you the least camera shake. World motion blur and weapon motion blur, both disabled so that you don't have any shaking or blurring effect on the world. If you are running on an older console though, like a PS4, you can put the weapon motion blur enabled and it might give you a couple more frames. But if you're on a new gen console like a PS5 and the new Xbox, then I definitely have this disabled. Film grain on 0 just to give everything a lot sharper look. All right, brightness is a big thing. You want to have this set to a point where the game doesn't look absolutely terrible, but also when you're going into dark buildings and tents, you can still see someone hiding in the corner in dark areas. So you got to find a fine line for this one. I've got all my TV settings set up so I don't have to have my brightness in the game too high, but you just need to find what works best for you here. Interface, good one here is colorblind type. So putting your colorblind type to Deuteranopia, I can never say this word, but the D one, it gives you a lot more vibrant and colorful world, and it really makes the world pop essentially and just makes the game look a lot better. I would highly recommend running this one, and you want to set it colorblind targets on both because otherwise it only does the world or the interface. You want it on both. If you are on a PS5 or a new gen console, you can also do the settings by going back, going up to your settings, going to accessibility, going to display and color correction here, and you can set these filters in there yourself. So you enable the color filter and you put Deuteranopia in there. Intensity, I've got it around 40. And I really find that it just makes games pop a lot more and they just look a lot better. There's a lot more vibrance to it that I've found anyway. Minimap, you want to set this to square just to give yourself a bit more area to be able to see if there's enemies popping up on your map. With circle, it kind of cuts off a bit so you won't get the whole map there. Rotation, that's personal preference. I've always got show compass just so to help make call outs, and if you're getting shot from a direction, you just call out in 30. The only other one in this that's probably relevant is the close buy station on purchase. I've got this enabled just to be able to do them really quick buybacks when you slide into a buy station, hit X and X or square and X, can't remember what it is, and then you get the hell out of there. But sometimes it can be a double-edged sword, so that's a personal preference thing as well. But if you don't like that the buy station shuts itself after you buy something, you can always disable this one. Another one is default to your first loadout. So I've got this enabled, so I always know when I open up a loadout where it's going to go. It's always going to go to the very first one. You can, however, set this to disabled and it will use the last loadout you used. So if, say, your loadout that you use is your number 7 loadout, it'll go straight to that one if that was the last one you used. So that's good, but I always set my main loadout to number 1 just so I can get that quickly. Moving on to audio. So from all the studies that I've done, the best audio options are boost low and boost high. So they provide the best footstep audio depending on your headset though. So I found that using the PS5 headset, when I run boost low, I get the best footstep audio on boost low. However, when I use my SteelSeries headset, boost high provides the best footstep audio for me there. Master volume, I've got that set to 100 because I just control it on my headset. Music volume, you want this on 0. Dialogue volume, so that's basically people calling in airstrikes. You get that little voiceover telling you, or UAVs. So I put that down to 30 just so I can just hear it, but not so it's deafening. Effects volume, you want this all the way up. That's basically footstep audio or boxes. If you want to be able to hear a box from 600 Ks away or someone's footsteps from like half a meter away, put this up to 100 because Warzone audio is dog shit and they don't know how to balance stuff. Anyway, moving on. Cinematic volume is only for the campaign mode. Juggernaut music off. Hit marker sounds, that's just basically it makes a small sound when you hit shit. It's up to you. Mono audio, you always want to have this disabled if you have a double ear headphones, so that go over both ears, as mono audio, enabling mono audio turns off surround sound. So the only reason you would ever enable mono audio is if you're running one ear so that it puts all the sound through the one ear, and all the rest of these are just voice chat. And yeah, that's it. Cheers for watching. Make sure you check out my other video. I hope you have a good one and I'll see you in the next one.